Welcome to Elevate Prompt Template Agent Actions with the Power of Flow. Just a reminder, Salesforce is a publicly traded company, so please base your purchasing decisions on current products and services. So I'd like to take a moment to thank you for coming to this session, and for those who will be watching on video on demand, thanks for watching. I'm Jennifer Lee, Lead Admin Evangelist at Salesforce, and I am an Agent Blazer. And what we're going to talk about today is how to build trusted AI with ease, how Flow is an admin superpower, and how to enhance prompts with Flow. So let's talk about building trusted AI with ease. Prompt Builder is a tool that allows you to implement and integrate large language models, LLMs, into your flow of work. And you can build those trusted Gen AI with ease using no-code prompt templates. Now, LLMs use large data sets, and they take those large data sets and perform tasks like recognizing text, making recommendations, summarizing information, helping with creative writing, creating code, images, videos, and more. And you can further enhance your prompts with data from Salesforce, Data Cloud, and external sources using MuleSoft. And lastly, the best part about prompts is once you build them, you can reuse them over and over again, whether that's in Agentforce, in your Lightning record pages, or in your flows. So grounding your prompts with data is important, because what does grounding mean? Well, it's providing that use case specific information, that data, that context that is not in the LLM's trained knowledge. So you can bring in your data records, your data related list using merge fields like you do in your email templates or your flow formulas. Now, if you need to do more complex data gathering, you're going to use tools that you're already familiar with. So you're going to use Apex if you're a developer, or my personal favorite, Flow. Now, you can also bring in data from Data Cloud and external sources using MuleSoft. So now let's talk about prompt engineering. And you probably haven't imagined yourself being a prompt engineer, but you've been a prompt engineer all your life without even knowing it, right? That search terms that you put in Google search, that's a prompt. That order that you place with a waiter, that's a prompt, right? If you're working with a real estate agent and you're providing that criteria to that real estate agent to search for your home, that's a prompt. So you've been doing it all your lives. So let's talk about prompt engineering a little bit more. Now, what you see here is a pretty generic prompt. Recommend a cupcake order to a customer with the over-top cupcake using the recent orders from a cupcake company. Generic prompt, you expect to get a generic response. The LLM doesn't have a lot to go by. It's going to try its best to help you out, but it doesn't know your customer's name, it doesn't know your name, doesn't know your cupcake store name, the flavors offered, or what to recommend. Now, if we provide more context, right, we're saying, I'm a rep at Mochi Cupcakes, Haley Atwood's the customer, we're going to recommend an ideal cupcake order, and here's her 5 most recent orders. Right? In return, we're going to get a more personalized response, right? We can address it to Haley Atwood. I'm Jennifer Lee from Mochi Cupcakes. Here's all those great orders that you placed with us, and we recommend those 3 orders and that over-the-top cupcake. Now, we do not send static data into our prompts. So when we create a prompt template, it looks more like this, with the little merge fields that we're dynamically grounding our prompt with data. So we're pulling in your customer's name, your company name, the recent cupcake orders, the recommendations, and the over-the-top cupcake. So now that we talked about prompt engineering, let's talk about what happens under the hood with the Einstein trust layer, because trust is our #1 priority. So it starts with a prompt. We're going to securely get your data. We're going to dynamically ground it. Now, we know that sometimes you have sensitive data, your PII, personal identifying information, and we're not going to send that to the LLM. So we're going to take that sensitive data, we're going to swap it with data placeholders. Now, we're going to send it to the LLM of your choice, whether you use the ones provided by Salesforce or you bring your own. But know that we have a zero data retention policy, which means we take your prompt, your grounded data, those data placeholders, we send it to the LLM, it generates a response, but it doesn't save it into its trained knowledge. Now, for those who use public GPT tools, ChatGPT, what have you, you put your confidential information, that's in there, saved in its memory for others to access. So as you're using those AI tools to help you in your job, just remember to keep that confidential information out of those tools. So they're not going to save it when you're using it with our tools. It comes back with a response. We're going to swap those data placeholders with the actual data. We're going to then weed out any bias or harmful content by going through toxicity detection. Then we're going to ask your users to provide us feedback. And that helps us improve our system. But know that everything that your users do, the prompts that they use, the users who used it, the quality of the prompts, all that is saved in the audit trail, and that would be accessible through Data Cloud, and you can run reports off of it. You can review it, make any necessary tweaks. So let's talk about how Flow is an admin superpower. I absolutely love Flow, and it's really important because Flow Builder is our automation tool to automate business processes. And you can automate all various types of tasks, like creating a to-do list, making data manipulations, anything that you basically need to do to support business processes. You can also use screen flows for enhancing user interactions. And again, with that complex data gathering, you can use Flow Builder. Lastly, you can also bring in system integrations using HTTP callout. So here's our scenario, Mochi Cupcakes. It's an old school cupcake store that takes orders over the phone with their customers. And because they're on the phone with the customers, they need to be able to quickly access important information. So what we did was we took the multiple data sources, put it on a screen flow so that they can easily get to that information. So let's get to the demo. So we're on Mochi Cupcake's Good to Know information page. And this is a page that has all the information a rep needs when they're on the phone taking that customer order. And we have it all in one page. So you see here that we have our 25 cupcake flavors, our 13 frosting types, then we have our 12 decoration themes and our 8 cupcake courses. So again, this was done using a screen flow. So let's take a look at that screen flow real quick. So it gathers information from various objects. So let's take a look at that first get records first. And we're doing a get records on the cupcake flavors. We're not doing any type of filtering. We're sorting by ascending order, by type, and we're taking all the records. Now we're going to do something similar for the other 3 objects, for frosting type, decoration theme, and courses. And then lastly, on that screen element, it brings it all together with sections using a data table that brings the records from the get records for each object. So we have the cupcake flavors, frosting type, decoration themes, and cupcake courses. So now let's talk about enhancing prompts with Flow. So Mochi Cupcakes now want to get into the AI era. So they want to have an AI rep help their reps with recommending a cupcake order using the past cupcake orders by the customer. Now, if they were to do this over the phone, they're going to have to weed through all the past orders, then figure out what the cupcake order is to recommend. But we're going to have an AI agent do this for us. So first, we're going to create a flex template in Prompt Builder. Then we're going to use a template-triggered prompt flow in Flow Builder to ground the prompt with data. Then we're going to create a prompt template agent action. And then we're going to add the instructions and the agent action into Agent Builder. So we're going to go up. And before that, when you enable Einstein in your org, you'll get a new flow type called Template Triggered Prompt Flow. That's a mouthful. I go with Prompt Flow for short. And it does a lot of the things that you're used to doing with Flow. But one key action is this new add prompt instructions. And that's the action that you would use to ground your prompt with data, right? You use the Flow, gather all this data, and then you send it back into the prompt template. So now, let's get to the demo. So this is Prompt Builder. We're in Setup, and we're going to create a new prompt template. So this will allow you to have access to all the prompt templates in your org. We're going to select Flex because that's the prompt template you use with your agents. Now, the cool thing about this template is that you can define up to 5 sources. Now, for our use case, we're going to define contact as our input, and we're going to use a contact object. But know that you can use free text and also data cloud as well. So we're going to hop over to a prompt template that I've already configured. And let me give you the lay of the land before we get into this. So the middle section there is our prompt template workspace. That's where you provide your instructions in natural language. And you also ground it with data. So know that it didn't start this complex when I started playing around with it, but then you tweak it over time with testing. And then that's how we're grounding it with data from the record and Flow. So you use that resource picker to ground your prompt with the data from Flow, from Apex. You can also bring in information about your current org or the current running user. And then lastly, we had set up that contact object. So once you click on that, you can then do a search, a quick find, to easily identify the fields for that contact. So again, you have to click on the object first before you can do the quick search. Now, you have access to all the record fields, but when you scroll all the way down, you also have access to the object's related lists. And then further down, you have access to data graphs if you have data cloud enabled. So over to the right is your model. You can use the Salesforce provided models, or you can bring your own. Now, I happen to use the Salesforce provided models, and I like OpenAI GPT-4 Turbo, but I recommend that you go and test out the different models and pick one that you like. And down below in the preview section, over to the left is the resolution. That's where we take your prompt instructions, ground it with data, and we play it back for you. And then over to the right is the response. That's what comes back from the LLM when we take the prompt and your grounded data. So now let's test this out with a contact. And we're going to use Haley Atwood. And for the purpose of this demo, we're going to only test with one record. But please, in real life, test with many, many records to ensure that you're getting the response you need before you put this out in production. Don't just test with the one record. So we'll get that response back. So over to the left again, you see the prompt instructions, and then you see the actual data that we're grounding it in from the Flow and then the related, the record name. And then over to the right is the response. So we're doing a recap of Haley Atwood's past cupcake orders. I'm getting hungry as I read this. And then we're recommending 3 cupcakes, and then at the end, an over-the-top cupcake. All right, so you notice that in the green, I am bringing in Flow to ground my prompt. So we're going to take a look at those 2 flows. So we're going to look at the emoji suggestive order first. And here, this is our template triggered prompt flow. So I'll step through what is happening here. So we first do a get cupcake flavors on the cupcake flavor object, where the type does not equal over the top. And we're sorting it by type ascending order and getting all the records that we find. Then we're going to do a loop. And from there, we're going to add prompt instructions. So specifically, we're going to grab the cupcake flavor name. So that's going to keep repeating over for all the records that we have from the get records. So you notice that we will repeat that same formula, the get records, the loop, and the prompt instructions for the remaining of my flow. So we're going to do the same for get over-the-top cupcakes, frosting type, over-the-top frosting type, decoration theme, and over-the-top decoration theme. Again, it's those three combinations, the get records, the loop, and the add prompt instructions. Now we're going to quickly debug so I can show you what it looks like with this template-triggered prompt flow. And we're going to use Haley Atwood. So in debug, we're first going to get the cupcake flavors and successfully found records. But in the assignment, we find the first flavor, which is dark chocolate. Now in our next assignment, it finds red velvet. So it adds it to that prompt. So we're going to scroll all the way down to our very last assignment. And what you're going to see cumulative is all that data that our flow gathered, and we're sending it back to our prompt template. OK, so we're going to take a look at the second flow that was in our prompt. And this is the retrieve most recent 5 cupcake orders. So here we're getting the cupcake orders from the cupcake object. Now the customer equals $ input is a new global variable that's available in our template triggered prompt flow. Related entity is the object that I selected. Now remember back in prompt builder, we selected the contact, and then it's pulling in the contact ID. Next, we're sorting the cupcake order descending by date ordered desired by. And here we're grabbing all the records, but we're limiting it to 5. That's a new feature that came out with the recent release. So then we do a loop, and then we have an add prompt instructions. And here we're grabbing the cupcake order summary field and stamping that for each cupcake order. So next, this is Agent Builder. So we're in it for the Mochi Cupcakes agent, and I've already configured my topic with some instructions, and it has actions as well. So let's test out. Let's first create that prompt template action, and we're going to select the Mochi Cupcake recommendations, and then hit next. And here's where instructions, descriptions are really helpful for the agent. So in your inputs and outputs, you really need to describe what it is that the input variable or output variable is, because that's how the agent determines if it has that information to pass in to the agent. So then we're going to click Finish, and that should create our prompt template agent action. And we'll see the new agent action show up in the list of available actions. There it is. So now let's test it out. And we're going to ask it to recommend a cupcake order for Haley Atwood based on her past cupcake orders. It's figuring it out. And there it is. It came back with a response. So it indicated a summary of Haley's past cupcake orders, and then based on that, it recommended a cupcake order 3 items and an over-the-top cupcake. So let's quickly look at the planner to see what happened. We have the topic that it selected with the 4 instructions, 7 actions. It used a flow retrieve contact ID to pass Haley Atwood's name to get the ID, and then we invoked that prompt template Mochi Cupcake recommendations. All right, so I work in the admin relations team. I hope that you would check our content out. So that QR code and bit.ly link does go to our website, as well as subscribe to our monthly newsletter. I do have other resources behind that QR code as well. And check out Agentforce Decoded. It is a video series, 5 minutes or less, showing different agents or features within Agentforce to get you inspired to build your first agent. And sign up for the Agentforce Virtual Hackathon. It's available now. You can create agents and compete for up to $140,000 in prizes. So check that out. And with that, thank you so much for attending this session. And feedback is a gift, so please take a moment to go into the Events app and provide us feedback. We do take it seriously, and it helps inform future content for future events. Thanks, and have a great rest of your TDX.